John Collier, Commissioner Warren, we referendum in Greek. I just want to ask, on Wednesday, would the government set aside time for a debate on the Greek referendum? It's one of the seismic events in the history of the European Union, a very courageous stance and a vote by Greek citizens that rejects austerity, and it's an endorsement of efforts to secure a debt write-down. And given the consequences for the EU, and particularly for citizens of this state, I would ask the government to set aside government time to debate it. The other issue I want to raise, Concordia, very briefly, is the Haddington Road agreement. You know, or at least I would like the Minister to confirm, if under this agreement that former ministers in Taoiseach are to get an increase in their pensions as part of a side deal agreed by Minister Howland. Now, last week Fine Gael and Labour voted in favour of taking money out of the pockets of lone parents. Today, the Dáil debates the civil debt bill, which will allow for money to be taken out of wages, welfare payments and pensions to pay for water charges and other utility bills. Meanwhile, Dublin City Council is facing £18.5 million of a shortfall for tackling the homelessness problem and will run out of money in October. 67 families were made homeless in Dublin in May, another 65 in June. There are over 1,000 homeless children. So set this against the new pension agreements for ministers, former ministers and Taoiseach, and the minister's claims that he can't prevent that. Would you, sir, accept that significantly increasing pensions for politicians is entirely unacceptable? Has any of this been equality proofed, and will the government take whatever steps are appropriate to reverse this situation?
Thank you.
Well, firstly, on the first question, obviously the Minister for Finance and the Taoiseach are both in Brussels today, and there is an opportunity for discussion on the Greek crisis. I think we do know, following the referendum, what the Greek public are against, but I suppose what we now need to know is what is the Greek government for. And I think, having looked at this issue for a long period, I mean, we need to see a viable strategy to restore growth for Greek people. I think that's what Greek people need, is to see a credible proposals. So we obviously, if the Taoiseach comes back following those discussions, and I hope there will be an opportunity for a debate on the Greek issue. But there is, we are now wait to hear what the Greek government will put forward, and I think both the Taoiseach and the Minister for Finance are very clearly open to hearing proposals. I think Ireland has a good record in the approach we took. We did manage to get debt relief by longer maturities, by lower interest rates. That saved the Irish taxpayer a large sum of money. It gave us the space to have a growth strategy that has got 100,000 people back to work. So there is capacity to manage a deal, but a deal has to be agreed with the partners, and so there has to be a strategy that everyone agrees to, and I hope today is an opportunity to make progress on that. There was, on the second question, there was absolutely no side deal in respect of politicians. I mean, I think if you look at the track record of this government, you'll see at every occasion Minister Howland and the government have made decisions to reduce payments to politicians, to reduce pensions, to reduce special payments, to give up severance that applied to politicians in the past. And I think the approach to this deal has been the same. All of the significant percentage increases are being provided to people on lower pay and on lower pensions, and that's the approach. But obviously, in a piece of legislation that was introduced under emergency powers, there has to be some relief within the package for people, regardless of where they are in the pay schedule. You cannot by legislation pick out individuals to whom you decide you will remove their pension rights compared to others. Anything has to be done in a proportionate and equal way, applying to all equally. And that is the approach that the Minister has taken, and he has insisted that the lowest benefit would be available to the highest paid. And I think that's something that the House should support.
It's absolutely false. That completes the order of business for today. We now move on to motion re-membership of